All right, so today we're diving deep. We're going to try and unlock the secrets of the great piano masters, going way beyond just scales and exercises to figure out what it really means to make music. You know, this is the question that kind of echoes in every single practice room. What is it that separates someone who can just play the notes perfectly, a technician, from a true artist? Is it really just about hitting the right keys, or is there something, much deeper going on? Let's unpack this together. And if you ask the great masters, people like Schumann, Mozart, Rubinstein, well, for them, the answer was always crystal clear. They saw that mechanical perfection, that wasn't the goal. No, that was just the starting line for a much, much richer journey into the very heart of the music itself. So, where does a journey like that even begin? Well, it starts right at the beginning, with the very first lessons. And as you're about to see, these initial steps are way more critical than most people think. The office of a friend. I mean, just think about that for a second. What a beautiful idea from the pianist Arthur Rubinstein. He didn't see the piano as some tool to show off with. For him, it was an intimate companion. And that one simple idea, it changes everything. It reframes learning from this task into the beginning of a lifelong friendship. Okay, so here we hit a really common, and I mean critical mistake that a lot of beginners or maybe their parents make. It's this belief that for the basics, any teacher will do. The masters are totally unanimous on this point. That is a huge error. A musical education, it's like a building. You just can't build a masterpiece on a foundation that's already crumbling. And you can really see the two paths so clearly here. On one side, you have a great teacher building a solid foundation from day one. We're talking good posture, relaxed hands, a disciplined mind. And then on the other side, a poor teacher just lets bad habits take root. And believe me, these are not minor flaws we're talking about. These are deep cracks in the foundation that are incredibly difficult, sometimes even impossible to fix down the line. You're not just learning notes, you're literally forging habits for life. And this isn't some new idea, not at all. The ancient Greek music master, a guy named Timoteo, he had this really clear policy. If you came to him as a brand new student, you paid the standard fee. Simple enough. But if you had already studied with someone else, he charged you double. Why? Well, because he knew it would be twice the work. First, he'd have to unteach all the bad habits you'd picked up, and only then could he start building the correct ones. Okay, so you've got the right teacher in place, your foundation is solid. Now the focus shifts to the craft of practice itself. But the masters were so adamant about this. Not all practice is created equal. There's a whole world of difference between just, mindlessly repeating something and doing intelligent, focused work. Robert Schumann, he had absolutely no patience for what he called mechanical studies. He'd see these pianists spending hours a day just on finger exercises, thinking this was the secret to mastery. And he compared it to someone just reciting the alphabet over and over and over, trying to get faster each time. It's pointless, right? The goal isn't just speed, the goal is music. He was basically begging students to use their precious time in a better way. So what does that better way actually look like? Well, the masters suggest a kind of balanced diet for your practice. You start with maybe 10 minutes of brief targeted exercises just to warm up the fingers. Then you move to studies or etudes, which let you apply that technique in a really musical context. The biggest chunk of your time, maybe 25 minutes, is for learning new music. That's the real core of your work. And then you always end by revisiting your old favorites, keeping that repertoire alive and fresh. It's a simple formula, really. Warm up, apply, learn, and maintain. Now, there's one skill that comes up again and again as the key to a lifetime of musical joy, and that's sight reading. It's the ability to read music as fluently as you read a book. If you don't have it, learning new pieces is just a painful chore, and honestly, that's when the piano starts gathering dust. But if you can sight read, the entire world of music just opens up to you. It's like having a friend you can visit for the rest of your life. Okay, so you've built the foundation, you're practicing smart. Now it's time to actually share the music. But a performance, it's so much more than just a clean execution of the notes on the page. Schumann uses this wonderfully blunt, you could even say brutal metaphor for bad tempo. He says the playing of some so-called virtuosos resembles the walk of a drunkard. Stumbling, lurching, totally undisciplined. So the key takeaway here is to keep scrupulous time. A steady, reliable pulse is the canvas you're painting on. Without that, the whole picture just falls apart. And you have to remember, performance is physical. Think of a pianist's hands and arms like a singer's lungs. They're the source of breath and life for the music. If you want to produce a long singing melody, your gesture has to be broad and generous. But if you're trying to play short, crisp, rapid notes, the movement is small and precise. The sound you want dictates the motion you make. Your body literally becomes part of the music. This might be the single most powerful piece of advice in this whole thing. It doesn't matter if you're in a huge concert hall or just in your own living room alone. Always play as if a master were listening. It's not about adding pressure. It's about having respect for the music and for yourself. That one thought, it elevates practice from a chore into a real act of art. And this, right here, this brings us to the very core of our original question. We've got the foundation, the craft, the performance. But what gives music its life? What is it that actually moves us? The masters all agree, it comes from the soul. Mozart gave this beautifully simple answer for what a pianist needs. Just 3 things: head, heart, and fingertips. The fingertips, that's your technique. The head, that's your intellect, understanding the music structure. But the heart is the emotion, the feeling. And any one of these alone is useless. Technique without feeling is just robotic. Feeling without technique is just a mess. All 3 have to work in perfect harmony. And this just cuts right to the chase, doesn't it? Dazzling technique, what we call virtuosity, it can definitely amaze an audience. It can get you a standing ovation, but it can't move them. That power, that comes only from genuine expression and feeling. As the masters would say, music that doesn't come from the heart is just, it's unbearable. And here is the perfect analogy for it all. You can train a bird, like a starling, to sing a tune perfectly. It can be technically flawless. But the bird doesn't understand the music. It has no soul. The masters are begging us to avoid that trap. Don't be a well-trained bird. Play with conviction. Play with your entire soul. Because if your music comes from your innermost being, it will reach the innermost being of your listeners. So what you start to realize is that becoming an artist, it isn't a destination you just arrive at one day. It's a path. It's a path you walk for your entire life. And the final pieces of wisdom from the masters are all about the mindset you need for this continuous, lifelong journey. The masters basically laid out a kind of artist's code of conduct. And it's all built on humility and a serious commitment to learning forever. It's about loving your instrument, of course, but never forgetting that it's just one voice in this huge, vast universe of music. And crucially, it's about valuing that quiet nod of approval from a fellow artist way more than the roar of the crowd. The music you choose to play, it literally shapes who you become as an artist. Schumann warns against chasing after what he calls fashionable music. He says it's like a diet of just sweets and pastries. It's not going to build strong artistic character. What's fashionable now will eventually go out of fashion. Instead, you've got to nourish yourself with the work of the great masters. Bach, Mozart, Beethoven. Their music is like the daily bread. It's the powerful stuff that has stood the test of time. So, after all this, the technique, the practice, the feeling, the mindset, we come all the way back around to that really fundamental question. What does it actually mean to be musical? It's not about anxiously staring at the notes or being totally lost if someone turns 2 pages at once. The real answer is much more profound. And this is the ultimate takeaway, right from Schumann himself. Being musical, it's when you can anticipate the music in a brand new piece, or you know it by memory in a familiar one. It's when the music actually lives inside you. It's not just something your fingers do. It's something you possess in your head, through understanding, and in your heart, through feeling. That, right there, is the true art of the piano.